the 10th, 2021. And this is the Planning Commission meeting via Zoom.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, God, no, come on, no.
is Chuck here?
Yep.
Hey, Chuck, you gonna lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I sure will. Let me see here, get a flag. Okay. All right, there's a flag. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America
and
and
to the republic
for which it
stands
stands, one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and justice
justice for all.
Okay. We'll now have the roll call of commissioners.
Joe Palmer,
Yes.
Kevin Kissel,
Yes,
Gerald Grazek. Is he excused or
he's
absent?
excused.
Arturo
excused.
Briones, absent.
He's absent.
Michael Horvath is here. Charles Persinger is here. And
Yep.
then Ross Leduca is here.
Yes.
I didn't see Tracy. Is Tracy?
Don't see Tracy.
No. So she's
No,
absent.
Tracy. Anybody, Leah or Liz, hear from her?
Have not.
Okay. Mark her absent then.
Okay, I already went through and got all the attendees' names written down, so you can go on to the
Okay.
next step.
Okay, do we, does that give us quorum?
We got 5.
Yes.
Okay, that's all we need, quorum. We need the approval of the previous minutes. I just got them, so I don't, did anybody have a chance to review them?
I took a look.
They're wonderful, accept them the way they are.
So Persinger moves to approve. I
Yep.
will support.
Okay, go ahead.
And
Call
so
the roll.
Palmer, do you approve is recorded? Hello, Palmer? You say yes? Huh, I thought he's
Oh.
here. Joe?
He was.
He's not on the line.
Oh, what happened? Well, Kevin, you approved as
Yeah.
recorded?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now you can, you approve as recorded?
Yes, Mike.
All right, and then I got I approve. And then Chuck, I'm assuming you're good.
Yes, I
And,
am.
and Russ,
Yes.
you're okay with it? All right, I got that checked off.
Okay. Next is the approval of the agenda. You guys have a chance to look at the agenda? Anybody want to change the agenda or approve it as it is printed?
Fine.
Who
Beautiful.
moves?
I'll move it.
Chuck moves it, who's gonna support it?
I support Russ.
Russ supports.
Duca, okay. So Joe Palmer, do you, yes or no?
Yes.
Kevin Kissel,
Yes,
I say yes. Chuck
Yes.
and Russ.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
okey doke. Move on to old business. The first portion of old business is the zoning text amendment for flat work replacement criteria.
Yes,
Who's gonna take this, Liz or Leah?
I am.
Okey dokey, go ahead, Liz.
Okay, so this is what we talked about at the last planning commission meeting as a policy review. It is a proposed zoning text amendment to provide criteria for replacing flat work. So that means public sidewalks, service walks, driveway approaches, driveways, garage slabs, steps, porch caps, and patios. The proposed criteria is in line with the Department of Public Services criteria. And so the two departments will be consistent, and then having it in the zoning ordinance makes it enforceable. So if John is back. I don't know if he has anything to add. This came from the building department, so.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
If anybody has any questions, we've worked through it on 3 different levels to eliminate some things that are easy. In other words, if you can mud jack a sidewalk or a driveway, we'll permit that to happen without a permit. What we will not do is permit grinding at a significant amount, and we will not permit patchwork on a flag of a concrete because we know they will just re-rise and be a problem in 1 or 2 changing of seasons. So we've eliminated those from the long-term care. I know some people would like to have a short financial repair, but we're suggesting that if we follow state and regional directions for this type of climate, we repair for these people a long-term process instead of a short-term recovery. So that's why we're recommending it. The reason we're also matching the DPS sidewalk city repair program is the problem in writing our own agenda, our own amendment is because when we go to court, we don't actually have an ordinance for the building or for the city to operate under because the sidewalk proposal that the DPS uses is under the state regulations for the sidewalk repair program of 1/10 of roadway money going to non-drivable surfaces. So therefore, when we go to court, we can't stand using their document as a legal proof that we're requiring and requesting them to follow our standards.
Okay. We have anything else on the flat work replacement criteria? Otherwise, is we have a public hearing? Is that right, Liz?
Correct.
Oh, come here. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Okay. So we'll close the regular meeting. It is at 7:14. Reopen the public hearing for this is at 7:15. Does anybody from the public have anything to say on the flat work replacement criteria?
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
this is Councilwoman Ross. Just a quick question. I'd like to know if there's anything here that's different or in addition to what the building department uses, or is this identical? I'm sorry, not the
This-
building, and I meant DPS.
The DPS, let me read through it again and I'll tell you because I have them both sitting side by side. No, there is nothing different between the two. We did request that surface patching will not be permitted in number 9, and they don't have that at all. They don't have the topic of patchwork in their description. So we've added it because we feel that it's going to be a surface that's going to crack and heave within a matter of less than a season. And we need to have the ability to defend resale inspections and rental inspections and vacant registrations when we go to court. So the only one that's added is number 9, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any comments during the public hearing? Anybody else going twice? Anybody else?
Hello?
Yes.
Tracy Dupree is trying to get into the meeting.
Okay.
Do you see her? Can you let her in?
Liz, you
Yes.
see her?
She's having a lot of technical difficulties.
Yeah, I don't see her.
Okay, all right. I didn't mean to interrupt, but she's here. She just can't get in.
Okay.
Let me, I
Alright.
will invite feature. Let me try to invite her.
Okay, that would be great.
All right. we'll look out for Tracy and we'll move forward. Since there's anything further on the flat work replacement criteria, we'll close the meeting. It is 7:16 and reopen the regular session at 7:17. What do you need us to do here, Liz? We do anything else or?
You should vote to whether to recommend this to council.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
Well,
make a
the
motion.
proposed motion that was in the minutes said it is recommended that the mayor and city council adopt the proposed amendment for the flat work replacement. How's
Are
that?
you making the motion to recommend that to council?
I guess I can. I
We
did
have a-
now.
Okay, we have a support on that.
I'll support that.
Chuck supports.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and call the roll.
Joe Palmer. Hello,
Somebody
Joe?
wake Joe up.
Yes. Yes.
Kevin Kissel,
Yes.
Mike Horvath says yes, Chuck Persinger,
Yes.
and Russ Leduca.
Yes.
Okey doke, I've got it.
And I say
documented.
yes too, Mike.
Welcome
And
aboard there, Tracy.
Dupre. Oh, so I gotta go back. I guess we'll just mark you as late.
Yeah, well, well, I have I was on my phone and computer and all they did was kept spinning.
But welcome in. Better late than never.
Thank you.
Exactly. Tracy, we are on new business.
Okay,
Now,
thank you.
First item on the new business is conceptual review for 3727 Dick's. It's a car wash. Who's the handle this one, Liz or Leah?
I am again.
Okie dokie,
So I will take us through the report.
okie dokie.
All right, so the project is a proposed car wash, automobile wash facility, a car wash at 3727 Dix. The site is at the corner of Dix and Emmons, and there's a public alley, unpaved alley on the east side of the property. There are currently 4 access points on the property, but the proposed project will result in only 2 as proposed, one on Dix and one on Emmons. And then it's also proposed to have a shared access point with the neighboring Sonic establishment to the south. The future land use classification is general commercial, and a car wash is consistent with this designation. Zoning, it is zone municipal business district, and a car wash is permitted after special approval in this district. These are the site plan documents for the conceptual review. And then we'll get into the dimensional. All dimensional standards have been met as proposed, so there are no items to be addressed here. Building design, the building mass, height, and bulk, and architectural variety, it's all consistent with buildings in the area. Building facade materials, the do not meet the 75 brick requirement, so that standard is not met. But the facades do feature natural colors with dark gray and white. Otherwise, other than the transparency requirements, that 25% of the front facade is windows. Otherwise, the other standards are met. So items to be addressed are that the applicant must revise the facade materials to comply with facade material and transparency percentage requirements, and then also show rooftop mechanical equipment screening if applicable. Preservation of significant natural features. There aren't any natural features to preserve. For sidewalks, pedestrian, and bicycle circulation, there is an existing 6-foot sidewalk on both Dix and Emmons, which provides pedestrian circulation. And then there's also a proposed internal sidewalk that runs on the west, south, and part of the east sides of the building But if this sidewalk is just around the building, it doesn't connect to the existing sidewalks. As we say with all proposals, any broken, cracked, or unsafe sidewalks must be brought up to city standards. For parking, a car wash requires, it would require 16 stacking spaces, and they have, or 9 parking spaces and 16 stacking spaces, sorry. And they proposed 23 spaces, and there's space for stacking spaces, but it's not shown on the plan. So we just ask that those are shown with dimensions so we can make sure that the 16 spaces are there. This is considered a parking area B. The proposal as presented has an ingress on Emmons and then an egress on Dix with that shared egress point with Sonic. In terms of meeting the ordinance, it does meet standards for ingress and egress. However, some staff in the development team have raised some concerns that about the ingress on Emmons. Even though it does meet the technical standard, it may cause interference with the driveway on the south side of Emmons and at the light. And we just are asking at this meeting for the applicant to comment on the ingress and egress. So once we're through the report, we'll ask for that. Concrete curbs and gutters, they're indicated on the site plan, but no details are provided. Again, a lot of these things, because this is a conceptual review, they're not shown. So a lot of the compliance for these items are presented as an inquiry, just that we need more information. Same with the proposed masonry wall on the east side of the property, adjacent to the residential neighborhood, and more details about whether the parking spaces along Dix have the proper curb cuts and safety features so that they don't go into the sidewalk. So items to be addressed in this section include showing the 16 stacking spaces, talking about the ingress on Emmons, providing curb and gutter details, providing details on the material, height, and construction of the proposed screening wall, and then also curb and post details for the parking spaces along Dix. For barrier-free access, with the number of spaces they've provided, 1 barrier-free space is needed, and they have provided that. For loading, it's based on the gross floor area of the building, and it's less than 20,000 square feet, so there is no loading required. However, they have shown the plan that there's a proposed temporary loading area in the internal access aisle north of the building to occur during off hours. For access, driveways, and vehicular circulation, request that we have driveway radii provided. For the egress access point on Dix, we do need some more details about how that will function. It isn't clear on our maps where the property lines line up and with the Sonic to the south. So again, we need more details from the applicant on that. And then also the ordinance requires a shared access agreement, and we do not have. The next section is for driveway spacing. The ordinance has requirements for how far driveways are apart. And for this 40 mile/hour speed limit on Dix, the requirement is a minimum of 185 feet. The distance to the next driveway is about 100 feet to the south, which is the ingress only access point for Sonic. And then they also require the access point across the road to be greater than 150 feet away from the access point for the project. And this one is about 115 feet from the driveway to the south across Dix. So that standard is not met. So items to be addressed in this section are to provide the drive radii on the plan, provide the shared access agreement, We will need the landscaping plan that supports the triangular unobstructed view area, more details about the shared access point and how it will function, and then possibly to the applicant to evaluate alternate circulation patterns that could possibly meet driveway alignment standards. For emergency vehicle access, they can access the building either via Dix or Emmons, and the police department has indicated no concerns with the proposal. Streets, there are no new streets proposed. Landscaping, screening, and open space, there is a proposed 10-foot green belt along Emmons and along Dix, which include crushed stone grass. A landscaping plan has not been provided yet. Again, this is conceptual review only, so that is not necessary at this point, but for the next review, they will need to provide a landscaping plan in which we could evaluate whether what's proposed meets the standards. So items to be addressed, they must provide a landscaping plan that meets the street, interior, and parking lot landscaping requirements, provide dumpster enclosure details, and then provide screening wall details. For soil erosion control, all soil erosion sediment measures are under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. So the applicant shall work with the building superintendent, city engineer, and Lincoln Park Department of Public Services to comply with soil erosion control standards. And then a soil erosion and sedimentation permit must be obtained from Wayne County. For utilities, the site will be served by existing public sanitary sewer and the adjacent alleyway, or in the adjacent alleyway, and then by the existing public water main on the east side of Dix. Engineering provided comments about what needs to be done there, and also some items to be addressed, which include obtaining a Wayne County permit for the proposed water service. The alley will need to be saw cut, removed, and replaced as directed by the engineer. The size and slopes of the proposed sewer will need to be determined by the engineer and showed on the plans, and the size of the proposed water service will need to be determined by the engineer and shown on the plans. Again, stormwater management is under Wayne County's jurisdiction. So the applicant will work with the city engineer to review the stormwater system and determine the appropriate permitting process. For lighting, the project narrative describes the lighting as full cutoff and downward facing so that it's not going onto neighboring sites. At the site plan review meeting, we'll have the lighting plan and manufacturer specifications. So that is the item to be addressed here. There's no indication of adverse noise impacts, so no items to be addressed for noise. At this point, no ground or roof mounted mechanical equipment is shown. So if there is to be ground or roof mounted mechanical equipment, we just need to see the screening and location details for those. Signs, the signs will be permitted by the building department that will be in compliance with the Lincoln Park sign code. Hazardous materials or waste. Car washes often have the potential to generate some quantity of hazardous materials or waste. So we'll need documentation of compliance with state and federal standards for storage, use, handling, and disposal of any products. Site design standards for uses after special approval. There are only two other standards. The setback is that the building must be greater than 20 feet from the street lot line. And the proposal meets those standards by quite a bit. And then stacking spaces, again, like we saw in the parking section, is the same, but we just need to see those on the plan. Other agency reviews, the work in Dix Highway will probably require will require a permit from the Wayne County Road Commission, and then any other reviews as needed. There are no variances for this. And then in the recommendation section, the information is substantially in compliance with section 1296.01 site plan review. We have a list of all of the conditions and waivers here for the next meeting. And again, because this is conceptual only, there's no action that you take because this is advisory only, but that should do it for me.
Okay, do we have any questions for Liz?
Yes, I have one through the chair, please.
Go ahead.
Um,
Chuck.
Liz, is this an automatic car wash or a self-serve?
Automatic.
Wow, awesome. Okay, thank you.
I have a couple questions, please, not necessarily for Liz. The first one, anybody can answer this. At what point is the location of the business approved by the city? In the process?
If I can interrupt and then,
Go ahead.
Chairman, this is John Myers in the building department. Liz, Leah might also have accuracy. It starts with the request for use of land with a certificate of occupancy. Then it goes from that application to a zoning verification, whether it fits. That has followed suit. And then from there, we have a pre-application meeting with conceptual ideas. If they want to go forward, then they go ahead to a site plan review because this would require that. And that's where we are at this. This is stage one because it's site plan. It now needs 2 visits to the planning commission. And then once it gets through the planning commission, if it gets through the planning commission, they'll give the recommendation to council to accept all the processes that have been proceeded from an original application, zoning verification, to pre-application meetings, to drawings and site plan review with the city planner, and then 2 steps of planning commission, and then it gets to council at the end of this 2 steps. So we're in stage 1 of the planning commission meeting.
Okay, and may I ask one more question? Nobody has an issue where this is gonna be right at Meyer and Sonic and all that right there? There was no issue with that?
Well, I want to just jump in and say 2 things. One is that this doesn't have final council approval.
Right.
It stops at the planning commission. And then the other thing is, so that's the kind of thing that we should talk about here. So the zoning verification, what the question is it legally permitted on that patch of ground? And the answer to that question is yes. But the reason that this is a 2-step process is so that they can hear your feedback and make that arrangement work as well as possible. We have pretty limited authority, I think, because it's permitted in the district to say that a car wash can't go here, but we do have, because it's a special land use, some latitude to address the concerns that I think you have.
Not only that is, there's a manned car wash 5 blocks away. Just if you go down the street. So I don't know if they're still, they reopened, they're moving. So I'm just thinking of all these things that are right there and the traffic and stuff. So, okay.
2 different kinds of business though.
Well, yeah,
Totally different. Yeah.
okay.
Do
Thank
we have any
you.
more questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So when we say this is a self-serve car wash, what do you mean exactly by self-serve car wash? You pull up, put a quarter in the machine, drive through, will there be attendants there?
This is an automated car wash. So if you want to get out and do your own vacuuming, you can, such as the corner I'm giving you a similarity of the car wash that's on the corner of Fort Street and Goddard. But then you start from one end and you pay a fee, and you drive through, you stay in your car, and it washes, dries, blows, waxes, and spit shines your shoes
We haven't
on the
yet
way
heard-
out the door.
No attendants, and then they'll have vacuum spots where you can pull up before or after your car wash. My concern is the traffic that's going to be going through. And then my other concern would be our infrastructure for our sewer and our storm. Are they acceptable, or will it accept? Are they going to reuse water? There's a couple of questions there, John.
We haven't yet heard from the applicant.
Well, I'd say
Okay.
hold those questions off for the applicant. They'll be next. Are there any more questions for Liz? Hearing none, we're calling the applicant.
Fantastic. Hey, everybody. This is Alex Sturwald speaking now. Happy to give you guys a bunch of background. Jack and I would like to introduce ourselves. We want to thank Liz, thank John Myers for his help in the process so far, and of course, Leah as well for all their feedback on the pre-planning calls that we've had. And I want to thank you guys all from the Planning Commission for being here tonight as well. I know we are definitely, I can see some Wolverine representation. Not sure how John feels about
Go
that,
blue.
but but it's awesome to be here talking to you guys. Just a little background on our business. We started in 2015. I grew up, there it is. There's the Buckeye mug. Grew up in Chicago. Jack, my business partner, grew up in Troy, not far from downriver. And we opened our first wash in 2015 in St. Charles, a western suburb of Chicago, and really got into the express car wash model, which is having these payment terminals that make your throughput much higher than you could achieve at other wash locations. And Jerry Schermerhorn, who's on the call, actually ran Delta Sonic, which is one of the largest chains in the country. So our biggest emphasis was on quality and trying to emulate some of the best in the industry, such as Delta Sonic. And we've opened 4 additional locations since then. 4 total. We have a 5th. It's in Dearborn Heights. We're debating whether we're going to redo that one right now or not. But one big thing is we made the move to Detroit in 2017. Our first location is on Eureka Road in Taylor at Eureka and Inkster. Worked with the village there and redeveloped an existing car wash, which had pretty bad throughput, had about 400 members, monthly members. That's been the big sea change in the car wash industry, is having memberships at your car wash where someone can pay as little as $16 a month and wash unlimited. And as well, including free vacuums for patrons, whether they come to the car wash to use the car wash and buy one or not. Our vacuums are open to the public. One big thing is the Taylor site. After we redeveloped it, we really found that we love downriver and have decided that that's where we want to start planting our flag. This is going to be our first ground up development as a car wash. Really allows us to do what we want to on the lot. All of our existing locations that we currently have, we have been redevelopments of mismanaged car washes. I know the one 5 blocks away was mentioned. And I can tell you guys happily that there is no one in downriver other than us in Taylor right now that has a wash like us, which is high throughput, extremely up to date on technology, and high quality as well. And that has been proven through our first 4 locations currently. I mentioned the one in Taylor had 400 members when we bought it. That location now has 4,400 members. And we currently have 14,800, really getting very close to 15,000 members across our 4 locations, which is 3 in Chicago, 2 in St. Charles, and 1 in Alsip. Those are the neighborhoods in Chicagoland area, and then the 1 in Taylor. And our biggest plan as we look forward in growing our 5-year plan, so to speak, involves only doing washes in Detroit and a heavy focus on downriver. You guys would really be the first one, and we communicated this to John as well. This would be our first ground up and our first flagship. So we're going to be really proud to call this one home. We're excited about the surrounding businesses as well, because it's very convenient when you go to Meijer and you get your groceries. It's really nice to pull out and get your car washed. And Meijer's even encouraged development within their business. A big Michigan company, obviously. They have several different locations with car washes on their outlots. This won't be an outlet, obviously, it's across the street, but really a lot of good cohesion there to be able to have people get their groceries, get their car washed with their membership, and to go about their day. So we're very excited. And I want to just let Jack quickly speak to you guys as well about what separates us as a business, the things that we try to do to emulate, fostering our employees to have amazing careers, evidenced by Matt and Bo, who are on this call, who are both employees, started as regular employees and are now equity owners and partners in the business as well, and how we groom our staff to, even if they don't have a college degree or anything like that, to have an amazing career ahead of them. So Jack, I'll kick it over to you.
Thanks so much, Alex. Alex touched on so much about our business model, which as he said, I think is something that there's a massive need for in the Lincoln Park community. We truly are so excited. We've loved being in Taylor, and we just think that this location at Dixon Emmons is the perfect for a flagship store for us. You know, from an investment standpoint, it's going to be, you know, a $4 million investment, including the land. We really, you know, we don't go cheap. We try to provide high quality, like Alex said, and so that's super important to us in the experience. You know, when you look at the cost of chemical that most operators put on the cars in car washes, we're significantly higher just because we believe that quality wins every time and experience. So our product is there. You know, speaking to some of the questions, I think that were briefly brought up on the peripheral about water. We've already planned, you know, Wayne County sewer. It's something that's already factored from the very beginning, and we're fully aware of. It's an additional $150,000 investment to do underground detention, storm detention there, and that's something that we are planning on doing. You know, a lot of developers, I think, would shy away from that. And I know that there was probably even some hangups, it sounds like, when Sonic realized that. That doesn't scare us. You know, another thing that we loved is that when we've done these developments, particularly on Eureka Road in Taylor, is we saw after we made our investment onto that lot, many of the other businesses on that quarter and that mile stretch did significant rehab projects, including our next door neighbor, which was an RV store. They did a complete overhaul after we put that investment in, and then a couple other followed suit as well. So we see this as a great opportunity to just bring revitalization to this area of Lincoln Park. We think it's an amazing street, an amazing place for synergy for people that are, as Alex said, using the grocery store. And then the other thing is, you know, we like to say, and it's not just something, it's on our website, and more than on our website, it's just the way that we run the company, is that, you know, we really look at our mission is to better the lives of everyone we come in contact with. And that is really what we're trying to do. Washing cars is the vehicle that we do that, but that's ingrained in our culture. From the very beginning, we said, we want to look at companies like Chick-fil-A. We want to look at companies like Discount Tire, that they don't just provide a service, but they provide an amazing culture to foster employee growth and development, and then serve the community, both through charity work we've done and just the upward mobility we've provided people within the company. So we really, you know, we do love washing cars, but we love people more than that. Our core values are love, passion, and excellence. And a lot of companies will talk about that, and really it's just the thing on the wall, but our team truly lives it, and we see it. We had a site manager in Taylor, his house burned down. And before we could even, as an ownership team, within a day, one of his coworkers had put a GoFundMe up, and we raised over $10,000 for this manager from mainly people within the company. And so I think it's a testament to the culture, and honestly, so much to our people. We really, really love the people. And then another thing that I think that people have questions about is always like the safety of soaps. We use very, very, very high quality soap that's very environmentally friendly. It's not an issue. It's not like a dry cleaner chemical, you know, where you have significant environmental problems on car wash sites. Happy to speak more to that, but again, you know, we're just excited to be there. We're really happy. Any questions and concerns anyone has, we want to speak to them. We want to hear you. And we want to see what we can do to make this a win, you know, for Clearwave and the city of Lincoln Park and its residents.
All right. Now, who has the first question?
I have a question,
Mike?
please.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can I ask when you opened or revamped the Taylor location?
Yeah, it was in 2017. We opened in November of 2017.
Okay, so I'm familiar with that location. All right. My dad built one of these and I opened it 12 years ago, called Penn Station in Southgate. Now, yours is a little different. Are you going to have more than one bay and all of them be mechanical?
No, it's just going to be a single 135-foot tunnel. There is no self-serve bays on this site. The Taylor store does have additional self-serve bays This has no self-serve bays. It's just a tunnel.
It's just the one
Correct.
drive.
Yeah,
Okay.
we inherited those self-serve bays at Taylor,
Yeah.
and through talking with Jerry, they are truck height, and there's so many truckers on that route. We felt that would be, it's not even our normal business model to do self-serves, but it was a really nice feature for a lot of the truck drivers along that route. And so that's our primary patron for those self-serve bays. But yes, we do not want to be in the self-serve business. So this one would just be an automatic high throughput, 3-minute, you're in, you're out. And we can process, in a day at some of our current sites, we're already processing 1,400 cars in one day through the tunnel based on the way we lay out the traffic, the stacking, the lot, and the flow of the site. So we know that we'll be able to handle a lot more here actually with the size of this tunnel, and targeting that 2,000 plus cars per day if we need it for the capacity.
Okay, thank you.
Who else
I
has a
have a few
question?
questions. Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
do,
Joe.
Chairman. Well, not in particular order, but I've seen that you said through Wayne County, we're okay with a sewer and a storm. Is this gonna be a 24/7 operation?
No, yeah, we are not a 24/7 operation. We have to have people on site managing, and most of our stores are probably 7 to 8 p.m. and it fluctuates depending on daylight savings time.
So what will your hours be?
We haven't settled on a final hour, but it'll be right around the traditional hours, between 7 or 8, with potentially some variance.
And then what size vehicles are you gonna accommodate for this?
So it's mainly just, cars, vans, SUVs. It can't handle semi trucks or,
Pickup truck?
dually vehicles. It can handle a pickup truck, but not like, it can't handle an oversized dually pickup truck. So it's, most of our customers are driving sedans.
Passenger size vehicles.
Yeah, passenger vehicles. Yep.
Just average vehicles. My other question is when you talk to Wayne County, are you gonna be recycling the water, filtering it, or no, once you use the water, it's going back down?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we do have filtration with our water because we treat it. So the makeup of the water and the pH balance is incredibly significant to getting a clean. It's kind of like coffee. You don't think about it, but like the majority of our ingredients is water. So the quality of our water is very important. And we have looked at recycling systems in the past. However, it massively dilutes the quality once it runs through once. So we've chosen, even though it'd be a cost savings to us to do it, that we believe, again, like spending the extra on the quality, it's important and it's worth it to serve the customer.
Yeah, and to speak to that just a little further as well, on the drawings, you guys will notice near the stacking lanes, there are some dotted outlines, some boxes there. And that is because we precast and pre-build at every site the ability to do reclaim should regulations change, should we find that there is any type of pollutant or anything. We're an ecologically friendly company. And if we need reclaim, we do it up front. So we're not coming back in and trying to pull permits and dig. The site will be ready to go for reclaim. And that'll just develop through our conversations with Wayne and also what we're measuring as we're washing cars, from a waste standpoint.
Well, Alex, what kind of a cost perspective are you asking for when we start?
Sorry, a cost perspective?
Yes.
Cost per wash?
Yes. So,
Controlled on that. One was for the wash itself, but the cost perspective of the operation itself to build and everything.
Are you saying like the menu pricing of like the car washes or the cost of the construction?
Yeah. Okay, let me rephrase that. First off, the cost of opening the business up itself, getting set up and that, and then yes, on that part, what's the cost going to be for the consumer to come through and utilize it?
Sure. So yeah, the construction cost is going to be with startup costs, construction costs. Like if we just look at site costs and construction, we're like right around 1.7 million. And then equipment package is about 1.2 million. And then on top of that, we have another 300,000 in startup costs, working capital, all that good stuff. And then our pricing point, we're likely going to settle somewhere very similar to what we're seeing. It's either gonna be a $5 or $7 base wash with membership starting at $17 a month for unlimited car washes. So for 17 bucks a month, you can come every single day.
Right, and if you
I
want
think
just
you-
a quick rinse, right now we currently have a $5, just, get you through. It's a basic rinse and wash option. And then the individual washes go up at, currently, we're sliding the scale. We're always testing new stuff, and this will be our flagship, but it should be around 7 for our regular wash, 10 for the next level up. I believe, are we 12? I don't know if we settled on this location yet for 12 or 13 for the mid to top tier package, and then the very top wash is $15. And then our monthly packages are typically about double. So for instance, our plus wash, which is our second one up, is $10 for an individual wash. You could wash unlimited on that wash for $20 a month.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. No further questions, Chairman.
No
All
problem.
right. Any further questions?
Nope.
Any further questions?
No.
All right. I think you guys can deal with Liz or with Leah and John, and we'll see you back hopefully next month.
Great.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much
Awesome.
for having us.
Yeah, thank you
Thank you
guys.
for being here.
Thank you.
You bet.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look.
We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is site plan review for 3464 and 3468 Fort Street, food preparation and retail.
Pulling it up.
Who's got this? Liz or Leah?
I do again.
Okie dokie, go ahead, Liz.
Okay, so this project is for food prep and retail at 3464 and 3468 Fort. The building has two sides to it with two addresses, 3460, 3468, with an internal connecting door. We're considering this as one building. The proposal is to use the 3464 side of the building for salsa preparation and then have a small retail area up front. Most of the product that's made in the prep kitchen will be delivered to stores and markets in the area. However, the retail area on site will also allow for walk-ins and customers to pick up orders. And then 3468 side is to be used for future salsa preparation expansion. So the site is on Fort Street between Gregory and Liberty. There's a small parking area with room for 3 parking spaces in the back, and then also on-street parking on Fort Street. The parking lot immediately to the north is not connected to this business. It's to the building to the north. And then there's a residential neighborhood to the west of the building that has a wooden fence separating it from the alley. Master plan and future land use classification. It's general commercial, which is consistent with the proposal. The parcel is zoned neighborhood business district, and the proposed use falls under the categories of food services and retail, both of which are principally permitted in the neighborhood business district. These are the site plan or the site documents that are associated with the proposal. For dimensional standards, this is an existing lot, so it doesn't meet some of the standards such as lot width, lot area, and lot coverage, but because this is an existing building, there's really nothing to do about that, so there are no items to be addressed. For building design, the building is similar to buildings within the area. The building materials do not quite meet the standards for the 75% brick requirement for each facade. It does on all the sides except for the east elevation. And then otherwise everything is met other than the transparency requirement. There's the 25% requirement on the front facade, and this is 21%. So again, this is an existing building. It doesn't quite meet the standards for transparency or building materials, but the proposal does not include any changes for the building facade, and the city has historically permitted existing facade conditions to remain. Therefore, there are no items to be addressed. There are no significant natural features to preserve. For sidewalks, pedestrian and bicycle circulation, there's an existing 6-foot public sidewalk along Fort Street and then a 3-foot sidewalk on the north side of the building. So there is sufficient pedestrian circulation that's separated from car circulation. Then, as always, we just ask that the applicant ensure that the concrete sidewalks are brought up to city standards. For parking, there is no specific use in the Lincoln Park Code of Ordinances for a food service establishment with associated retail. So we considered restaurant to be the most applicable standard. So that's what we used for calculating the number of requirements. So that would require 7 spaces. They have those 3 proposed, the 3 spaces in the back, so it does not meet the 7-space requirement. The site is so small that it prevents the applicant from actually requiring those 7 spaces. There is on-street public parking on Fort Street. And then also in the narrative, the applicant described the nature of the business in that the parking needs for customers are short-term, so the customers would only be in the building for a very short time in order to pick up the product. And given the extremely limited ability of the site to accommodate parking, it's the Planning Commission's responsibility to determine whether the proposed parking plan offers an adequate provision for the intended use while still preserving public health, safety, and welfare. So included that the Planning Commission can waive or modify the standards for special situations, which includes parking. All the standards, yes, all the standards for the parking area B are met. And the engineering comments did state that resurfacing the parking lot must meet the city's requirements. So items to be addressed in the parking lot are that the applicant shall request a Planning Commission waiver for the proposed parking plan of 3 spaces plus the on-street parking along Fort Street. The existing asphalt parking area shall be resurfaced and brought up to city standards, and then the cross-section and pavement type for the parking lot shall be indicated on the plans and submitted to the engineering department for approval. Barrier-free access for the number of spaces. There is only 1 barrier-free space required, and they have met that. For loading, it has to be for buildings 0 to 2,000 square feet of gross floor area. No loading space is required, and the building is 1,990 square feet. So there's nothing to be addressed there. Access driveways and vehicular circulation. This standard only applies to Southfield Road, Fort Dix, and Outer Drive, and there's no vehicular access to the site from any of these routes. So this section does not apply. Emergency vehicle access. The emergency vehicles could access the site either on Fort Street or in the alley to the west of the site, and the police department has reviewed the plan and indicates no outstanding issues. So no items to be addressed. There are no streets. Landscaping, screening, and open space. There is a small 167 square foot existing grass area between the sidewalk and Fort Street. But otherwise, there is no space on the site for landscaping. So many of these standards just don't apply. The only one is screening for the waste receptacle. There is an existing dumpster, but there is no screening wall proposed, so that does not meet the standards. So items to be addressed for landscaping is the applicant shall request a Planning Commission waiver from the landscaping and abutting residential screening requirements, as the site is too small to accommodate such requirements. And then the applicant shall show the waste receptacle screening meeting the ordinance requirements, including installation detail. Soil erosion and control. It's all under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. So the applicant shall work with the building superintendent, city engineer, and Lincoln Park Department of Public Services to review soil erosion practices as needed. For utilities, the engineer provided a number of comments and suggestions. Site is served by public water and sewer, and the proposal is to use the existing utilities. And the engineer suggested the existing sanitary sewer be videotaped to determine the condition of the service lead, and then also that the applicant will work with the city engineer to verify the existing water service and sanitary service type, size, and determine the lead capacity for the proposed building use. Stormwater management is also under the jurisdiction of Wayne County, and there's no new stormwater management proposed. So the applicant will work with the city engineer to review the stormwater management system and deal with any appropriate permitting processes. For lighting, there is a proposed new lighting fixture location shown at the rear of the building, but no details have been provided yet. There is a note on the plan saying that the lighting specifications will be provided during the building department review. We typically get that before it goes to the building department. So the item here is for the applicant to provide the manufacturer specifications to ensure that lighting is arranged so it doesn't reflect on the neighboring properties. There are no adverse noise impacts anticipated from this development. There's no mechanical equipment, and signs will be reviewed by the building department to make sure that they comply with the Lincoln Park sign code. For hazardous materials or waste, there's no indication of hazardous substances or polluting materials, so there's nothing to be addressed. And then there are no additional standards required for this approval. For other agency reviews, just the applicant needs to secure all appropriate agency reviews as needed, and then pavement replacement may require review by the Wayne County Drain Commissioner. No variances anticipated with this project. And finally, recommendations. The proposal is substantially in compliance with section 1296.01 site plan review. Then we have the list of waivers. The two waivers here are for the parking and landscaping. And then there are two conditions to be addressed before planning approval is issued. And then so then we have a proposed motion when you are ready. That is it.
Okay, any questions for Liz?
Yeah, well, I'm looking, on the one side of the building, there's a parking lot, but that's what, the other business, they can't use it?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
They would have the option of having a shared parking agreement, but in early conversations with the applicant, I believe that building is not open, and the applicant hasn't been able to contact the owner.
Okay, any other questions for Liz? Any other questions for Liz? Okay, then we'll ask the applicant if they're in attendance. The applicant?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
This is Wayne Dutton with Thomas Roberts Architects. We prepared the drawings before you today.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if you have any direct questions, but or if you
go
want me. Would you like me to give a brief description of the project?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so fairly straightforward. I do have the owner, Ray Gomez, on the phone as well, if there's any questions on the operations of his business. But he has a small business. Obviously, it was discussed producing salsa. Again, just briefly on the floor plan, he'll have a prep kitchen for making salsa, a small area up front for customers to come in and buy product or pick up orders. Their main focus of the business, or their main business output, is making the salsa and delivering it to stores that sell it in markets in the area and throughout Detroit. Again, as far as site plan and improvements, we will, once we get, past approval through these type of meetings, we'll be preparing detailed plans that go to the engineering department for building permit. Pretty limited improvements on the exterior, given that we have a building that's basically to zero setbacks other than the rear. We are going to fix up and repave the back lot as was discussed and restripe it. We can fit 3 spots. One will be ADA accessible and then 2 standard spots. The exterior of the building is it's an ephes or a stucco finish currently today. It's in good shape. The owner's keeping that. He's going to repaint it and give it a fresh look and add his signs to the front and side of the building. We have some notes on the plans that we've indicated that'll meet the zoning requirements for signage sizing. All the utilities will be reused, no need for new utilities. We will go ahead and scope the sanitary line as was recommended there. And other than that, all the utilities will remain as is. The owner will be using the same size dumpster that's in the rear lot there. He plans to use, there's a photo on the drawings in front of you. You can kind of see a view down the alley. That is the green dumpster to the right on the one photograph. So pretty straightforward project. I don't know if you have any questions regarding site planning and whatnot, or if you have questions for the owner relating to his business.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions?
He's just gonna make salsa there, right?
That's correct.
Beautiful.
Joe, you have anything you want to ask? Are you there? Well, anybody else have any questions?
I don't have no question.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion if anyone wants to make the motion. On the bottom of page 14.
I make the motion, Kevin. Russell. will do.
Okay. Russ makes the motion. Who supports it?
So moved.
And Chuck, who supports it? Any questions? Any discussion?
No.
Okay, Mike, call the roll.
Joe Palmer,
Yes.
Evan Kissel,
Yes.
Mike Horvath, yes. Chuck Persinger,
Yes.
Mr. Russ Leduca. Leduca's here, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yes. And finally, Tracy Dupre.
Yes.
Okay.
Nope, got you checked.
Anything else we need to do, Liz?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
And welcome, Ray, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good
Good
night.
luck, Wayne.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
Good night.
Good luck, Wayne.
We'll move on now to policy review and discussion. One item under there is zoning text amendment for online retail. Go ahead, Liz.
All right. So I'm going to take us through this document, but Leah and John or anybody else feel free to interject as I go. So the problem is that we are increasingly getting requests for online retail type uses, which is typically referring to using an existing and often vacant building for the storage of products to be sold online with a small accompanying office space. So the issue here is that online retail is not customer facing, which is inherently different from retail like we traditionally see in our commercial districts. Our zoning ordinance does not currently have a definition for online retail. However, due to changing retail realities and increased shopping online, especially exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, it's become very apparent that this use should be considered for incorporation into the zoning ordinances. So we've brought this to our development team meeting that meets every 2 weeks. and have come up with some possible solutions for incorporating online retail type uses. So I'm going to take you through these possible solutions and then have some discussion questions for you all. So the first, are there any questions about the use and problem at hand? Okay. Then the first possible solution is to establish a definition of online retail and add it to add it as a permitted use to select zoning districts. So currently retail, the definition of a retail store in our ordinance specifies that it's the sale of goods and it's customer facing. So the definition is any building or structure in which goods, wares, or merchandise are sold to the customer for direct consumption and not for resale. So we have done some research about how other communities do this and have provided two possible definitions for both the online retail as a use and then also an online retail establishment that we could add to the ordinance. So proposed definition of online retail is retail or wholesale sales where the transaction originates on and is completely on the internet via an individual website or third-party marketplace. These transactions may include taking orders, closing sales, making purchases, providing customer service, processing and packaging orders, and other similar activities that serve the business's overall purpose. And then an online retail establishment is a building that may contain goods which are warehoused, distributed, and or retailed at the same location. Products may be purchased in person, on-site, or online via the internet. So in looking at this option, we sort of came up with some pros and cons of going this route. Pros would be that it brings zoning ordinances, zoning ordinance more up to date for today's retail realities. It would allow business owners more flexibility and opportunity for success to have greater online retail prospects. And then it could potentially concentrate customer-facing businesses depending on where we decide online retail should be permitted. But a potential negative is that depending on what districts the use is permitted, it could result in a proliferation of online retail sales establishments, which are non-customer facing on our commercial corridors, which would functionally be warehousing sites. So in terms of discussion with this group, we want to get an idea of where the city should allow these non-customer facing online retail type uses. We came up with two ideas. First one is to limit the scale and restrict it to just the neighborhood business district. A lot of these vacant parcels in the neighborhood business district have limited parking, which really would serve the non-customer facing aspect of online retail. However, currently the intent of the neighborhood business district is to be customer facing, so we need to sort of adjust that. Then the other idea is to concentrate all customer-facing retail in the central business district and have that be sort of the retail center of the city, and then allow online retail uses in all the other commercial zones. So that would be neighborhood business district, municipal business district, regional business district. Which of these options, if either, does the Planning Commission agree with more?
The second option is for me.
Okay.
Not really sure.
And I know I'm throwing a lot at you.
Are we saying that we treat it like a warehouse, or we treat it like a in-the-face person?
We've seen both. So some applicants are coming saying they want to use a building just to store the stuff, and then they have their computer and sell the stuff online. But other applicants are saying they want to use some of the building for the storage stuff, and then also have sort of like a place where customers could walk in and buy items as well.
So the options that we're giving is we allow either or only one or the other.
Well, that's kind of the next question is if we're going to allow it, is there, what percentage of a building would need to be considered retail or devoted to retail in order to be considered customer facing?
That's what I was gonna ask, because if they're doing both, that would be different than just,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
And the bigger problem probably is the ones that aren't doing any retail. You know, if it has some retail component, we sort of have some leeway to be like, well, that's storage, or well, that's an office. Where we really are faced with, you know, going against our rules are, you know, the folks that have come and said, I literally said, I want to be a little mini Amazon. I have particular things that I sell and I want to, you know, have this building, you know, to store it and do it. And we just don't, there's nothing like that in our zoning code. Unless it's a warehouse and then it's out in the industrial district.
And we've
I have
also
a few concerns also, Leah.
we've also seen the other side of the coin where people would finally make a decision that they already invested in the building, and so they will put a model of a retail building in the front with a desk and then call it a retail store when they really have no intention to have person-to-person walk-in. And then they're doing it in the intent that they could hopefully get in compliance with our present day zoning ordinance when they're really just a mini Amazon. And we're seeing that happen too. They're just figuring out how way they can word it so they can meet our expectations. They're willing to put an investment together that says, there's my display unit over there in the corner. And now I'm a warehouse. I'm a hardware store.
With modern stuff, the retails have gone way down, and the online, you know, has gone up. So to keep some business, I mean, you need to accommodate it realistically, effectively. That's the nature. I mean, this city used to have two huge areas with thousands, with millions of stores in them, and they're all, the one is completely done, and the other one has a lot of it closed. So I guess I see it, there is some need to accommodate the possible legitimate business of selling that stuff.
So let me speak kind of candidly, and Leah then can clean up my gibberish. That's the point of what we need as a planning commission to really iron out, wrestle through, and go, so where do we put it? How do we put it? And why do we give credence for 2021 that will hold development over the next 5 to 10 years, and give planning commission and the development team clear support and direction for such businesses that would like to come in and facilitate our buildings. So that's the nuts and bolts to this, bringing it to the table. This is the board that really gets to speak into that loudly before it ever gets to council. And it will really take some serious assessment on our part, and with the support of your staff, Leah and Liz, we need to iron out many options that we think we have to move forward. But we're seeing that in pre-application meetings more and more, where we're getting either warehousing with an office, off a warehouse with turn it into an office, or a business that really doesn't have people to people, but would like to make it an office so we can say we have an office and can move into the building. We have discovered also that some owners and businesses have maybe jumped the gun a little, and they've written a lease already or wrote a paycheck for purchasing of the property, and then they're trying to find a way to salvage what they've already done. So probably one of Leah's very first questions in a pre-application meeting kind of leads like this: have you bought the building yet? Or do you have a signed lease? Because that says where we're going in a lot of different directions. So let me reiterate again, this is the imperative value of this board and this commission to talk about, because this is where it starts and gets some traction going forward. Is that fair, Leah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I jump in before Leah says something?
Go ahead.
A couple of my concerns, Leah, are like John's saying, is if we allow a business to come in and do retail and warehouse, this, that, and the other, like we've seen in the past about another business doing this and that, they decide to do something else. How do we limit, how do I say that? I'm trying to make words to it. If we say, yeah, you can do this, and all of a sudden they say, well, yeah, we're retail and warehouse. Well, you said we can do this. Can we put a limitation on what they're going to do? You know, am I making sense a little bit? I'm kind of confused. If we say, let's go Amazon, and they do everything, and here comes this guy in that's doing eBay, this, that, and the other, da 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 da. If we say, yeah, we want this and that, what about people coming in after a while for retail? There's no parking spots. There's, you know, the green belt, like we've been trying to do forever. Can we limit that? Can we change that? How do we set that up before they even come in? Am I making sense there?
So really you want to know how to make sure that should we ever need an inviting retail environment again, that we haven't been sort of overrun with warehouse uses that don't have the right green belts and that have just made a mess of things. Is that right?
And for instance, not to cut you off, marijuana, this, that, and the other, can we jump in and they're going to say, well, wait a minute, you rezoned us to do this and that. I don't want to see that problem happen. And it's too late, we're done. You know, we okayed them or approved them.
Well, I think that's exactly the point, right? You said exactly what the issue is. So we're experiencing some pressure. We need to, I think we do need to accommodate it. As Mike said, you know, things are changing. The retail environment I don't think it's ever going to go back to exactly what it was. So how can we both accept the reality that like some of what used to be a storefront is now going to function more like a warehouse, because that's just how we get things. Some quantity of items is no longer bought in storefronts, but they're bought in that's just how it is.
Right.
So how can we accommodate that, but yet limit it? So that's exactly what you're saying, is exactly the part that Liz and I are trying to get at. Do we kind of say that we're going to limit it a lot and just put it in these neighborhood business districts where the parking is kind of limited anyways, and honestly, we have a hard time filling those buildings sometimes because the uses are sort of limited as it is. Or are we, so that creates a few opportunities, but it maintains a lot of the city as it is? Or is the other approach that we say, okay, you know, honestly, most anywhere, these buildings, these uses can be. We're not really picky about, you know, neighborhood versus municipal business district. There's not a lot of difference between them as it is, but we don't want it downtown. We want to save the downtown and make sure that that is fully customer facing. So in that case, we've accommodated more businesses, but we've protected a smaller amount of that environment. And I think that's exactly the question that we're kind of chewing on right now.
May I add something?
Go ahead.
Can I add something, please?
Go ahead.
Let's say that they're going to have customer interface. Yeah, they're going to store some things, but if you have customer interface, how big of a square footage are we talking that the office and customer interface should be? Maybe if we put a limit to that and say, if you want to be in this area, you got to have this much of a showroom. Otherwise, you can't. Then you got to address, like you said, the green belt and everything else like that. But if you're strictly a warehouse, then you should be over in the commercial district. You know what I'm trying to say? If we put some wording in there that says you have to have this in order to be there. You can do whatever else you want with the rest of it, but if you have this many square feet as a showroom, then you're a store. If not, you're not a store, and you got to go over there.
What if they get really big though, and they're very successful, and we're in a certain district and we can move them somewhere else? That's another stipulation.
No, they'll have to move. They'll have to move somewhere.
So I think that's
if they
what
want
our
to
future,
continue to
like
be
Mike and I were
storefront.
talking. Yeah, because you're gonna have storefront, people are gonna wanna come in with traffic, and then yet alone,
Right.
you got storage, warehouse. This is huge. This is the future, I think.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you're gonna be a store, you gotta have so many parking spots to begin with. Am I correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you're gonna
And
have a
what if they just build
storefront,
that?
and- right, and even if you get bigger, all right, you're still a store, and you gotta have this much showroom, and you gotta have this many parking spaces. If you get bigger, then you're gonna have to relocate. That's the
Yeah.
only thing. If you're gonna become a warehouse, then you need to be over in the commercial zone. If you're gonna be a storefront with some storage and online purchasing, whatever you wanna do, you still have that, and you still have this many parking spaces, and you still address the green belt and the easements and everything else that goes with it, that you're in, let's say on Fort Street or on Dix or on Southfield. You know what I'm trying to say? Then you gotta follow this criteria. If we could put that in some sort of wording, I think we can paint them into a corner and say, okay, this is what we are.
Can I jump in on that too, Chuck? Or Leah?
Please.
I agree with that. That's what I'm worried about. Let's just say, and it's hard to do that, but we got to protect ourselves. We've all talked about this in the past, of being Lincoln Park, and we've been stepped on this, that, and the other. We don't want to lose that business. That business gets successful. We want to keep them in Lincoln Park. I know as the city of Lincoln Park, we have properties, this, that, and the other. How can we put it into wording to where this company gets big, and I think the future is going to be online retail, but yet you want people to be able to walk in and look at things, and all of a sudden you got 30 parking spots that they need, and we only got 3 and 188. Is there a way that we can word that going forward? That's what I'm worried about. I don't want to lose that company or that business for Lincoln Park, because this is what we need. We need things like that. That's the future. Let's jump in right now. Let's get that.
I want to just make one point that is a little bit counterintuitive, and just so that everybody has it in mind. So there's some concern about, the green belts and the exterior site, site improvements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That happens no matter what the use is. And this is the weird part. If we permit a new use in our existing commercial districts, right, it hasn't been permitted before. Anybody who wants to do it is engaging in a change of use, and now they have to go through site plan review and they have to clean up their property. So in a weird way, because this is a new use, it can have a better outcome on the redevelopment of a property, because every single one that we implement will be a new use. It'll have to go through site plan review, and it will end up with, a site that reflects that.
Well, can I say one more thing, Leah?
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so we've talked about, like, what I'm worried about is if we get into the district that we've got a lot of auto repair shops coming in, this and that. What if they come in and say, yeah, we're going to do this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden, a year down the line, well, no, we're selling auto parts, like, alternators, this and that, we're working on cars, but you okayed us because we're in the warehouse district, this and that. That's what I'm worried about, because we've been scammed over before. I hate to say that, but is there a way that we can word that? Can we prevent that? No, we can't, because we want this retail, but I know what's going to happen. I really know what's going to happen. They're going to get that in here, and Sam's going to sell it to I don't even want to get into that.
Good.
It's going to go down. Is there a way that we can prevent that? That's my
Can
word.
Can I throw a juggernaut in here?
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Please.
This has been a lot of fun, because this is what, and I'm going to coach for a minute again. Please listen. This is what we need all of our team to do, because it's just the movement forward, and it comes through your commission. And so it's really kind of important, but you threw up a few things in there that you want to protect or guard or recommend that we don't get jurisdiction over. When a company grows big because they went in and bought a piece of property and they wanted to be somewhat online or somewhat open-faced offices in what would usually been a municipal district that didn't hold warehousing, and so they put up a false front of really a non-person residence business, and you're saying, but when they grow up too big, they're going to have to move. We don't get the jurisdiction to make them move. We can't make them get so big and go over to the GID district or into the light industrial. We can't tell them they have to now go. Once they buy and invest in land, they're there to their own demise or their own success. And so we have to get off of that idea that we can help them go from newbies to very, very success, and we don't want to lose them, but they're going to have to move on our behalf. So that's probably off the books for our process of evaluation. And the reality is we're addressing already the subjects, but we might have to redefine our districts completely with these descriptions, as Leah has explained, because we should prepare for them rewriting whatever they want the building to be used for based on our ordinance. And so when we write it, let's say if we change the philosophy of you have an online, but we want you to have a storefront so it's people connected, and we can't buy square footage, but let's just say you're going to be required to have 25% of your building to be used for display and public person storage. By the time, if we make the choice at that point to rewrite the ordinance that says now your parking doesn't have to be based on the whole size of the building, but now based on the public use of the building at 25%, we could reduce the need or the adjustment of how much parking can go into some of these buildings and still give them online businesses or office space with a lot more warehousing. We'll have to think through all the options. And I'm getting very new. Leah and Liz are geniuses on this subject because they see it all the time for the last 35 years in their industry. Okay, maybe that's a little long. But in the reality of that, we're seeing the fact that everybody's turning around trying to rewrite a request to suit the situation because they've already invested in the city and they want it to work out. So as we write these, we're really going to have to choose to bounce things off the wall in as many variables that can protect by principle, not by issues, because I have no idea what's coming next. And we've seen some amazing storylines. We have one place that has 3 suites of about 2,000, and they have this idea that they want to now use it as a open office space. All 3 units, as more and more industrial companies would just need office space to do online businesses, and they would make it an open forum desk situation. And we really don't have a description for writing a yes or no, do we, Liz? No, we don't. And so there's that those things are coming, and I think your ideas are right. And we can give some short guidelines, but we have to really think to write this new guideline from principles of business and strategy in our districts and our cores. And it's going to be a fun journey, but this is the commission that does that. And I mean, you might want to ask Leah and Liz to send you a new zoning map, and then you could sleep on it every night. And instead of playing Sudoku, you could be looking at the zoning map and going, this is what I see versus what I don't see. You know, there's so many options for us to consider. We could even, and I'm just snowballing on this for everyone. We could actually find a way to remove a neighborhood business district altogether, because they oftentimes bridge between that and municipal, and then rewrite municipal with a whole new set. Pause again, just so this commission has John Myers' big picture in it anyhow. This would redesign right now some parts of our 5-year master plan that has just recently been codified.
Mhm.
Is that correct, Liz and Leah? So this might create a difference that is already written by adding or changing. Depending on how far we went with this recommendation, it may change things that we already have that we've put in motion for the next 5 years.
Right.
Well, John, that's what I'm trying to get into also, but what I want to do is try to protect us as the city of Lincoln Park of doing this in the zoning or this in this area and this and that, and the DBA, to protect ourselves if somebody else says, well, wait a minute, you zoned us to do this and that, and we're going to do this now. And we want offices and we have no parking and da-da-da. I would like to see us be able to try to get something together to where we can protect ourselves, rewording it to say, okay, well, if you decide in the future you want to do this or you need to do this, you got to come in front of us to let us do that. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I think we're going in a great direction right now. You're doing a great job. Leah, my apologies the other night. I didn't get to say it, but you're part of the building department, but I didn't say your name. You guys are knocking it out of the park. You and Liz, everybody's knocking it out of the park. But like we've all talked for all the years we've been on this commission, and especially Kevin and I have been here for a long, long time. We've seen us get taken advantage of, and people will come and go to Lincoln Park, go to Lincoln Park, go to Lincoln Park. Well, guess what? We want to protect ourselves. This is a great community, but let's protect ourselves going in the future of that point. If retail is going to be the future, even for online, and if they're going to start doing a retail, we're right on I-75 in Southfield 94. People could come into that retail. The next thing you know, if they only got 3 parking spots, what do we do? You know, and then they're going to start selling this, selling that, selling this. We okayed them to do that. That's my concern as a Lincoln Park citizen and a commissioner for the planning commission.
So can I just follow up and say, okay, well, let's just say that there's no retail component of it, and there's no real concern that, you know, they're going to get that exposure to, you know, the freeways or anything. Like, it's just, if it's not customer facing, it's just a little Amazon. Where do you feel that should go? Was it something you
Okay.
said?
Can I ask now?
Yes.
Ordinances, ordinances, the way they're written are pretty much a block, this, da-da. Is ordinances allowed to act like a flow chart? If this happens, then this has to happen. And then if that happens, that doesn't. But if not, you have to go this way. And
If we could put a zip line in the city, it would.
No, but what if, like he's
you know what I'm
saying,
coming from?
Yeah, what if they want to sell like auto parts or just merchandise online for Amazon? You know, we got to draw a line there, what they're going to be retailing.
Well,
That's my,
yeah.
It's coming already.
And the percentage of business that would be retail.
A lot of businesses are doing that with
Yeah,
eBay
but
already. They
retail-
have been. You know, it's like a guy on eBay. He's got a carburetor for, you know, let's say a 74 Chevy pickup with a 350 engine, blah, blah, blah. And he's got it on eBay, and he's already been doing that because he's got himself a mechanic shop and he's selling that part. But if somebody's doing it on a strictly that type of business where I'm selling nothing but everything online and you got a blah, 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 and it's going to get shipped to you, then it's that kind of business. It's a warehousing type of business. But if somebody's going to have a storefront and have a little of that, okay, fine. We need to, like you said, define what is the criteria that meets. Right. If you want to have a store right there,
oh, I'm sorry.
if you want to have a store on Dix, you got to meet this criteria because otherwise you're not going to be able to expand and only have 3 parking spots.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
You
that's
can't
what the
do
rules
that.
are now. If you want to have a store on Dix, you have to meet the retail criteria. And so I would encourage us to sort of step away from, and I think we should maybe pick this up again next time. I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion here, but I'm very glad that we've at least sort of really laid this out. I would encourage us to think more, for the most part, if somebody wants to have a part retail business and then do whatever else, we already let them do that. That's not a problem that we need to solve because they'll just come in and
They're doing that now.
store.
Right. They're doing that now.
Right. So what we don't have any tools for is the folks that say, I don't want a retail store. Retail is dead. I want to mail things. I'm Amazon. I am the new where people get things. And so I have nowhere to put them other than out on Papalus Drive. But that may not suit the retail needs of the world anymore. And so what are we going to do with these people that say, I don't want a retail store and I don't have enough merchandise to go out on Papalis Drive. I have enough to fill one of your, and this is what they'll say right to our faces, one of your empty storefronts on Dick's Highway.
Okay, you want an empty storefront? How many employees do you have? You're gonna need parking spots for every one of them employees, and you're not
Yeah,
gonna
and
get
if
any more.
somebody's selling something, instead of shipping it to them, they may want to just drive over here and pick it up. To save on the shipping and wait 2 days for it to get shipped. They might
Then you
drive
gotta
the
have a
hour. or two to
contingency
do
for
it.
that, yeah.
That's my
Then you have to have
concern.
it, right, you have to have a contingency for that. But if that's the type of business you want, then you're gonna be zoned as that business,
Yeah,
and you're gonna
the
be doing this much
curbside
business, and you got-
pickup,
Exactly.
very common now.
Exactly.
Right, exactly, Mike.
Yep. Every business.
I think,
Yeah.
I think it's something we need to table and actually dwell into it.
Yeah, we need
And,
to discuss that.
This
We'll
ain't
get
gonna,
more
it ain't
input on
gonna
it.
happen overnight.
No, sir, you're right.
A lot of discussion.
You are absolutely right. But this is good. This is real good. Because that's what the future is. Everything is going to
totally
that.
Agreed.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. So I think then we'll plan to just put this back on the agenda next time and pick up. We didn't get all the way through the memo, so we'll have some more thoughts about what we've discussed here. And then we have a training session coming up. We'll talk about scheduling that. The session is a site plan review exercise, but it will give us, we could have some time to really kind of dive into this in a setting that isn't after we've had some business to conduct. And maybe that would allow us to get a little more kind of breathing room to the conversation.
Okay.
When
We'll
is
move
that,
on.
Leah?
Sorry?
When is that training session again?
We're gonna get into that right now. Joe.
Okay.
Don't,
I don't
you're
have the
push-
thing in front of me. Sorry, Con.
The
I'm
next
like, here,
part
they
of
didn't
the,
deliver.
the next portion of the agenda is education and training. We have to
Hey,
select our April training date and site plan review session. Leah, what you got?
Yeah, well, that's about it. So we've been doing this on a Wednesday in April because we kind of already have our dates on Wednesdays, the 21st. How does that work for folks?
What time are we talking, hun?
Let's see, we have done 5 to 8 before. So back when we could all get together, we would have dinner, but now it's BYO dinner. And then it's just, a little educational workshop.
I run a food pantry that day,
Okay,
14th, but I'm done at 3, so I could do a full 5 to 8.
oh, great. How does it look for other folks?
So what day are you saying, the 14th?
No, the 14th is our regular meeting, so
Oh,
this would be
okay.
the Wednesday after, the 21st.
Oh, okay, so that's no exchange club.
we're
Okay.
talking April.
Yes, we are. We're
Um,
talking April. Does that come
April.
with your exchange club? Or
That's
we
a good
running
date
this
for me.
before?
Well, the exchange club we do is usually the first and third Wednesdays.
Oh, so then I was going to suggest moving
third.
it to the first, but that doesn't work for you.
Oh, the second, what's called the other ones?
What, the 4th?
The second and the fourth, yeah. If there is a fourth.
I have an occasion, so I have another planning commission that meets on the fourth Wednesday. They've been canceling, but as soon as I schedule something over it.
Whoa,
Yep.
whoa, you moonlighting with somebody else beside us?
Oh, no, I tried not to tell you that.
Oh, no, I feel like we're being cheated on.
Dirty secrets we are revealed, huh?
Oh.
Come on, it's only 20 or 30, right?
We are consultants. This is our job.
Ah,
Pays the bills.
dude, all this time, I thought she was exclusive with us. Gee, I don't know.
So-
There you went again. Chuck
I-
thinking.
Do
Yeah, I
Tuesdays
know.
or Thursdays, are those any better?
Yes, for me.
For me, Tuesdays. are.
Thursdays, yeah,
Tuesdays
Tuesdays
I
or
can't do.
Thursdays are fine.
I heard a no
Tuesdays-
Tuesday, any Tuesday from Kevin. How are Thursdays?
Thursdays are good for me.
Okay
I
for me.
like Thursdays too, yeah.
Except for the 22nd, we probably won't have that meeting, but it's a dangerous meeting. Dangerous building meeting is the 22nd.
What
Okay.
day is that again? April 22nd?
Yes.
I'm the last one to know that, and I'm the chairman.
Double.
Glad I could help.
I'm marking it down now.
We're definitely having that meeting now.
All right. How
Yeah,
about
well, we need those.
April 29th?
I'm clear.
That's good for me.
I'm good.
I'm putting it down on my calendar. It'll go on next month's agenda.
We're doing this via Zoom, I guess.
Yeah, via Zoom.
I wish we could get back and meet in person.
It's
Oh,
gotta,
let's
God,
go
it's
to
getting-
Millstone.
it's gotta be soon.
It's
Pretty
getting
soon, in
closer.
fact, we're talking about council going back in relatively soon there. And unless they extend the order, it ends at the end of this month, doesn't it, for the Zoom meetings?
It does. I did hear some talk just today about they're trying to extend it again until the end of August
Oh,
to get everybody
Yeah.
vaccinated.
Vaccinated,
Yeah.
yeah.
But who
Well,
knows?
let us get a
We're on the
vaccination.
legislature for that, so who knows?
Right now, you gotta be 65 or older.
No,
No,
not today.
No,
Today
no,
it's 50 and
It-
older if you have a health problem.
And the
50 and
March
older, yeah.
22nd is 50 and
Yeah, who
over for
doesn't?
everything. Yeah.
How about insanity or senility? Does that count as a health problem?
as long as you can prove it.
No. Poor Liz.
Not for me. I'm just,
Okay.
throwing it out there.
So we're good for April 29th, 5 to 8.
Yes.
So
5
move
to 8,
on to
April 20th.
the reports from departments and other boards and commissions.
I have nothing from Dangerous Building. I just found out we have a meeting finally, so that's great news.
Oh,
I was gonna
unless
say, you got a meeting on April 22nd.
No, unless
I
there's
know.
not a dangerous building, because I've sat there and waited for the dangerous
No.
buildings meetings and they didn't happen, so.
No, I've been there too.
Okay, then we'll move on to public comments. Anybody got any comments for the public? Lillian?
I
What
don't
you
think
got?
there's no public left.
I sure do, Chairman.
Yeah, I knew Lillian was out there.
Lillian.
If I could throw out some thoughts. When we were talking about that Detroit salsa and how they're too small, and I know that we've come across this before where the properties are too small to do that screening. What,
Yeah,
I guess my thing is, could they not offer, I know that they can't do it on their end because their lot is too small, but because it backs up to residential, could they not like partner with the resident and offer them a privacy fence?
I think there's
we've
nothing
talked about
preventing that, but there's nothing requiring it either, because we just cannot require somebody to build something on somebody else's property.
Also,
I
in
think
True.
we gave the option
True.
of putting that plastic
I get-
wall up.
I hate to, because I know it doesn't happen too often, but I know that it happens. And how many, do we get a lot of complaints? Do you know, Leah, after the businesses go in and there is no screening?
They wouldn't call me to complain, right? Because I'm the planning department. Who would get that call? John, do you know?
John
Yeah,
Myers.
What would they complain about?
The
The
traffic,
noise.
noise.
Yeah,
What,
or the
Deliveries
traffic.
and that?
it would be a complaint to the building department. And then it would go from there. Usually it would go to the LP Pride and then the LP Pride would send it to us.
But
it
do
would
we
be-
see, John, do we see a lot of that? You know what it just came to mind. And then as I was thinking about it, I thought of the Knights of Columbus, where their neighbors didn't even want them to redo that wall.
Right?
Yeah. That particular property was afraid of being blindsided by something that was taking place.
Right. But now being that these neighbors have been used to nothing there, to going to activity again.
Right.
And then depending on the business, it could be noisy
Right.
or even because, they want to put a light in the back. What
Yeah.
if that light is a nuisance?
The challenge really is what Leah said, and it's there's no jurisdictive authority we have to make them do it.
So then it would just be, it would be on the resident then
So if
too.
the resident got too much of a complaint of the noise, it would come to my office eventually, sooner than later. And then my only recourse would be to require them, allow them to address this as a civil issue between two people, a business owner and a private resident, because I have no jurisdiction. And the zoning board, the zoning ordinances don't have a jurisdiction. So Leah has no jurisdiction in the development of a new business to make it go up. In other words, we can't put that fence on the opposite side of the alley because
Mhm.
it would really be good for the residential neighborhood who hasn't seen a business there for a number of years. We
Would
don't
you
have.
think that someone that bought the property behind that, even if it was vacant, the business was vacant when they bought it, they'd have to have some expectation of movement coming in at some point.
Exactly, Maureen. I agree. It's not like it's a bar there or nothing. They know they're right off the alley. We want
Right.
businesses in this city. We need those. This
Right.
isn't gonna be a business that's gonna bother them. If it is, that's where we're gonna step in and say something.
And I would just think that they would have to have an expectation of some kind of movement
Exactly.
and stuff. And, there's business hours that will be followed. So it's, they're not like they're staying open all night or to 2 a.m. I'm sure that they're going to be closing in the evening. I can't see somebody running out at 10 o'clock at night to buy salsa. But,
Right.
other,
Yeah,
other businesses that might stay open later, the same expectation for the residents behind them. Eventually, God willing, that these businesses are all going to become active. And hopefully the business has respect for the neighbors behind them, but we can't enforce anything on the business or the property owner to, expect us to put something in there to give them ease of the business operating.
Yeah.
Agree.
All right. It was a thought. It was just a thought. I know. I mean, on council, I know that I haven't come across any complaints, but I was curious.
That's a good question.
Okay.
Honestly,
You have
we're-
anything else, Leanne?
Going to your discussion on the online retail. Is online retail going to be the primary business activity? Or will it be online retail of, and then whatever it is that they're selling? Because I think too, that it's going to make a difference, right? Whether they're selling clothes or they're selling chemicals, something hazardous, that would determine too where we would want to put them.
We don't monitor, just for the sake of argument, we don't do that with regular retail.
We don't.
Just, sort of for the sake of argument, you can sell clothes here, you can sell batteries there, you can.
say that there could be a clothing shop next door to Fort Street Plumbing is what you're saying, basically, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it doesn't work.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, I get that. But to Lillian's comment though, the comment was made, we don't particularly want a non-facing business in downtown, so I'll take that away. But even so, depending on where we end up putting it, we would have to decide maybe what product or what. I mean, I don't understand why we wouldn't, because some things need to be in certain places and other things don't. So I guess it's depending on what they sell and maybe how much they're selling of it versus online percentage. I think it should be considered.
But that was all I had, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from anybody else? We will move on to comments from planning commissioners. Anybody got any comments? Anybody got any comments? Okay, since hearing none, we'll move on to adjournment. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Chuck made a motion.
Motion to
Support.
adjourn.
Who support? Who
Tracy.
supported?
Tracy.
Okay, Tracy supported. All in favor say yay.
Yay!
All opposed say nay. And that brings our meeting to a close. It is now 8:57 PM. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And if you haven't gotten your COVID shot, please get ready to, because we want to get back into living regular life again.
Yeah.
Hey,
I hate
quick
to
question for
say this.
John.
He left.
Oh, gee.
Oh, he's gone. All
He
right,
left.
no
He was
problem.
Smart.
He heard it.
He got out of Dodge. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody.
Thanks for
Goodbye.
coming here. See you next month.